Hello everyone. Everything should be working, I think. Let's see. Just checking on my monitor here to make sure everything's functioning. Yes, it is. Okay. And I really gotta check my mic this time because last video it actually cut out in the second half of the video and you couldn't hear me. I'm not sure why this happened. It's odd, but it's unfortunate because I was talking a lot, explaining everything, but yeah, in this video I'm kind of just gonna explain briefly what I did in the last video so you guys are kind of understand what step we're on, and yeah, I'm gonna add some more towers, and we're gonna adjust things, and we're gonna do something really cool with these lights. Yeah, and if you guys if my microphone ever cuts out, just make sure you send like a comment or something so that this doesn't happen again. Let me make sure that my live chat is enabled. And okay, I'm going to enable it. Everything else looks good. And yeah, so the last video I did some compositing. I did a lot of compositing, in fact. And I did a lot of mixing the nodes together, so I'm just going to go over that quick. So we could just do a quick render at 32 samples and get this rendered out. Shouldn't take too long. It renders pretty quickly on a good GPU. And we're going to add a lot more buildings in. We're going to add some different styles of buildings too. And what we're going to be doing is actually animating the lights of the building so that they kind of flicker with the music. I thought that would be really interesting. So this is the render, and now we have the composite. So the composite does look a lot better. So basically what I did is I used a subtract node, and what that does, let's just disable this denoise. What this does is it actually subtracts out the environment paths, and that's important because I just wanted to adjust the buildings themselves without affecting the sky. And then what I did is I changed the sky separately with the buildings not included, just the environment paths, and I did some color grading to that, and then added that back onto the original plate. And plate in compositing, the images are called plates. So yeah, so then I added some lens distortion. Then again, I subtracted out the sky a second time. Then what I did is I used a color ramp to extract only the very brightest pixels, which grabs the windows. Multiplied that back to get the color data back. Blurred it to the side, and it's subtle, but it's there. And then I blurred it a little bit to make it a little bit more even. Then I added that back on top, and then we got that. And then I got this blur, which is sunbeams, same kind of thing. And then I just did it again on the top, again added it on top, and then after all that I added some film grain, which I did with the texturing nodes, and then after everything we get this. So it looks really cool. Oh, and I've got to enable denoising. And yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot more in this video. So we're going to create a whole nother building design. So yeah, let's get started on that. So I'm going to actually close out this compositing window, and we're going to make a new building. Let's just make a square this time. And I actually have to think about, we're going to make the windows on this building a little bit bigger. So we're going to just add in a cube and scale it up. And I'm sorry, you have to always do that in edit mode. Scale it up. And scale it on the z-axis. Let's see, we can move this on the y-axis, make it bigger, something like that is good. And we could do this really quickly, so we're going to just duplicate that, P to separate, scale it on the z-axis, but we need the origin to be at the geometry. Let's make it something like that, and for some reason the original cube disappeared, so I'm going to do that again. Shift D, scale it on the z-axis, apply the scale. I'm just going to control minus. And did that work? Didn't seem... Oh, I have cubes on top of each other, that's the problem. Okay, let's do that again. There we go. Awesome. Now, I would like to rotate this. So we're going to select everything, rotate, set origin to be geometry, RX90, scale this on the y-axis, and we could do something like that, I think. Should be good. Have the windows be a little bit wider maybe on this one, and yeah, that should look nice. So let's now add in an array modifier, and this is where things get interesting. So we could just do something like this, add a bunch of them, and then we could add in like 8, maybe make it smaller. It's too big. We don't need the windows to be this big. Let's make it smaller. And I have 2 cubes, I don't need that one. Let's make this smaller. We'll just make them a little bit bigger than the last windows. Maybe bring this to, yeah, 8 should be good. Then we're going to array this up in the Z direction. So let's set that back to 0. And, I'm sorry, that's going to be the Y direction. Okay, and that could be set to 1. Then we could go all the way up with this. Maybe something like, I don't know, something like 25 is a good amount. And we can always change the size of this later. Let's now do, let's see. So we can make this cylindrical if we really wanted to, and we'd have to add a subdivision surface to the very top, which we'll do. And we need to set this to simple. Set this to something like 2, probably even 1 is enough. Now we need to array this more. And what we need to do is somehow get this to rotate, and yeah, I have to figure that out. So I'm gonna think about this. Okay, so we're going to add in a lattice modifier. This is at least the best way I know how to do it. I believe there is a better way, but this is still non-destructive, so it's all good. And it can always be undone, so that's the advantage of non-destructive modeling techniques. So let's move this something like here. Let's move this to the center. Let's scale that up. Let's scale it down though this way. Just make that as even as possible. And kind of just so it takes up the geometry. Evenly as possible as would be better. Let's kind of move that in the center, and that should be good. Now let's increase the resolution of this lattice modifier. Something like 3 is good for the inside. Even 2 should be fine, but we need to go a lot higher in the U direction. So let's bring that up to 12, and we'll give that a try. So now we just click this, add the lattice modifier, and then select our lattice, just like that. And now you can start deforming your lattice. Now, we want to be careful with this, and we can use like proportional editing mode. We need to make that bigger, like that. It's not, I'd like to rotate this, like this, kind of. And you see, we're kind of getting what we want. And this doesn't have to be perfect. Of course, it would be better if you got everything evenly spaced. And you can literally design any kind of shape you want by doing things this way. So you can make very complex designs. Let's see. Let's do something just very nice that looks pretty cool. Let's just rotate that, and we can do something like this. Like a loop, sort of. And now we can do something even more interesting. Now let's actually turn down the amount of arrays. Or actually, I might leave it up. I'm going to leave it. So I'm going to try to move that on the x-axis. And you see we're starting to lose resolution on this side. So we need to move some of these points down. And I'm not sure if there's a good way to do this. Could I press Control A? Nope, that doesn't work. Because it's widening the windows later on, and I don't really want that. This should actually help. I'm going to lower down the resolution in this direction and just lower the resolution this way. And that kind of fixes things. And you can always move things back again. So just kind of changing the settings and should fix most issues. Now I'm not sure what we're really going for here. Something oval-like would be nice, I think. So I'll bring it there. I'll kind of just adjust this. Maybe even circle-like. I'll hide the floor for now, so that we can get this mirrored well too. Something like that looks actually pretty decent. Although it is stretching the windows again at the side, which I don't like. So I have to lower the resolution again and then redo it. Let's see, if I go into edit mode, or object mode. Oh, that's helpful. Okay. So you can do all sorts of stuff here. Wow, that is interesting. That's really cool. So you can make any kind of abstract design by doing this. I think I'm going to reset it, and I'm going to do that over because it's not really what I wanted. And perhaps what I'll do instead is I'll actually just grab these edges and just move them on the y-axis. That would be a lot easier doing it this way. And the interpolation mode is wrong. Let's do sphere. Maybe not sphere. Maybe something like sharp. I like sharp as a mode. That's better. The windows do get a little bit wider, but that's actually not bad. And what I'll do now is then add another modifier after that. And we will add the mirror modifier. And guys, by the way, is my sound working? It looks like it is, so just curious. Anyway, yeah, let's add in, what's it called? Let's see. Can't remember. Oh, it's, mirror. That's what it is. And then I'll just add in an empty. Move that down here, scale it way up. Kind of put it here, and then I can use that to control where the mirror is placed. Now I want that to be even, and now I want to flip the mirror to the other side, just like that, and kind of make it so that it's joining, sort of, just like that. And now we got a building. It's a little bit big. Perhaps it's a little bit too wide, so we can always just go in, scale it on the z-axis, and scale it on the, not on the z-axis, and then scale it on the z-axis to adjust the height. Let's go even narrower. Something like this is really pretty good, I think. Yeah, so now what we need is an object to go inside of here, and we'll just add that in now. Let's just add in a cube. A cube, where is it? Here it is. And we'll do this very quickly. We will bevel all the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. Control B. Yes, scale it on the wall. Maybe this isn't the best way to do it. Let's instead do it with the subdivision surface. That should be a lot easier. And then I'll use the regular. And then we'll select all the sharp edges. Select sharp edges, Shift E1, and then we can always just go here and then adjust that. Okay, scale it on the y-axis, and then now we'll throw in 2 loop cuts and scale it this way. And we just want it roughly to kind of match up with the mesh. Doesn't have to be perfect. That should be good. And same thing with this one. Just want it to be as good as possible. Then we'll make one more extrusion. Scale, S, and then S, and then Shift Z, Shift Y. Maybe I should do it individually. Same thing here. Gotta move that one the other way though. And we need to set all these edges to be sharp. So that's Shift E1. Same here. We could set the subdivide all the way down to 1. Maybe 2 would be better though. And let's narrow this. Same thing here. So it kind of approximates the building relatively well. Let's see, this one seems to have an issue, so let's just get rid of that loop there. Oh, we don't want it here either. And yeah, that looks pretty good. And we gotta remove it on here. Same thing here. Not sure why I added loops here, it must have been an accident. I'm gonna move this in. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's good enough. Oh, we got 2 more loops that we don't need. That's good enough. So let's add that in. Scale it up. Let's save this so we don't lose anything. And we could just scale this up on the x-axis slightly to kind of get that edge there. And yeah, everything seems to be working correctly. Let's unhide that plane again. This one can have a material applied with the colors, which would be, is it 6? I think it's 6. Let's see what it looks like rendered. Yeah. So I'm going to call that building lights. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah, and let's just change this color to be more the metal one, which is 115. I gotta rename this so I remember it, metal. And yeah, I'd like to add in the windows. Let's actually make the specular on this one. Why is this? Oh, this should be black. Actually, maybe not. Let's make it in the middle somewhere. So it's not pitch black, but it's better. More contrast. Yeah, now we need to add in our windows. So we could duplicate this. And then for this one, we can get rid of the boolean. And that should work decently. Now, I think there's a problem with doing it this way. Let's first of all make sure that it's narrower. So we'll select the face if we can. Yeah, we have to make this part narrower so that it's not too thick. And we can also space out the windows. if we want, I think. Okay, where is it now? Oh, there it is. It's in the center. Perfect. So yeah, the windows are kind of behind it now. And we are getting some weird artifacts, so let's fix that right now. And this is very easy to fix. You just have to turn up the clip start to like 0.5. Fixes it right away. Maybe even 1. Maybe lower this to 50,000. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes that fixes the issue, and it did this time. Alright. So, we're going to make a duplicate of this. Shift D. We actually didn't select everything. So duplicate that one more time. Then we're going to go to M, new collection, building, modifier, unapplied. Same as that. And then for this one, we could just apply the modifiers. So, I don't think we actually have to though. We could just drag everything around. So I'll just do that. Unless we have to. Where is the... There we go. Yeah, we can just move this around. Alright, let's just place it somewhere in the center maybe. Maybe in front, I don't really know. Let's go to our camera. I think something like that looks nice. It's kind of like an office building. And let's see, why isn't our texture working anymore? Oh, I know why. Okay, we're gonna go back. Everything's all right. The reason why is because we don't have glass on the windows. Gotta remember that. Is this correct here? It looks like I got 2. I'm gonna hide that. I don't want double here. Hide that one. Is this one a double? Yes, it is, so we're gonna hide that. Yeah, so shade that smooth, just that, and we will go back in and give this a glass shader. So this needs to be glass. Set that to smooth. Auto smooth is good. Scratch glass, that's good. Now our building has lights. Awesome. Okay. Oh, and the scaling's not correct though, so we gotta fix that. That's better. Now I want to actually adjust this because the scaling's a little too small for the window size. Now we can just adjust this in the materials. So let's go back in and adjust this a little bit. Let's set this to 1 and maybe make it a little more stretched, like 0.75, so it's taller. We could go even a little bit higher than this. I'd say something like that looks really nice. Yeah. View it from the camera. Yeah, that looks great. Let's add something to the top now. duplicate this, P to separate. Now scale it up. Just going to add details, not really sure what, doesn't really have to be anything specific. Going to add like a deck, maybe, that would look nice. Let's inset this, do that again, and then extrude it in the Z direction. Just going to add some details now, and we could do something like this. Looks horrible now, so we have to add in the loop. We have to sharpen up these edges. So we'll do that. There we go, almost got it. Same thing here. And maybe we can get rid of auto smooth. I'm not sure if we need that. We do, it looks like. Apply the scale. Yeah, we need auto smooth. Okay, no big deal. I'm wondering why that is going through like that. You know what, we're gonna undo that because I'm not happy with that at all. We have to undo that. Oh, maybe we can't. No big deal. Let's just X the faces, Control plus. X the faces out, and then we just refill them in. Just like that, it's back to normal. And now we can just inset it and then do that. And we will actually make sure that all of these edges are sharp before doing that. There we go. Select these details, and we will just extrude this in the Z direction. Now we can just select all these. That looks pretty good, I think. We can add something in the center, perhaps, and set it. Whoops, I accidentally did not set these edges to be sharp. And now we'll set these edges to be sharp. And I would like this to be a little shorter. Something like that might be good. And we can always add more details onto the deck. So let's do something just a little bit. Something like that is nice. We can always sharpen up the edges again. Sharpen this up. We could turn up the subdivide. Something like that is nice. Maybe make the edges a little more rounded, and turn up the auto smooth to 60 so it doesn't smooth as much. Adjust that angle to be more like that. And I think this deck is a little bit too large. I think that's better. And then maybe the whole thing can be just shrunk. Like that. That's perfect. Oh, and one more thing before we go to a different subject, let's just extrude that interior. And then kind of move this down. So it's kind of inside of it. That looks better. And we could just give this... Oh, let's actually duplicate these faces before we go, and let's move that up. And we can just separate this part if we really want to, and add new geometry between it. And now we can scale that up and select all the sharp edges. Shift D1. Maybe not these two. Or any of these. Yeah, we can get rid of all those, I think. And let's do the same here. Oh, and on the top, we don't need those. That's good. And select the top face. Scale it, and extrude it like that. Yeah, it's a little big. Let's actually make this piece smaller, so we'll move it down. And we'll make it more narrow. Maybe make this not so tall. And we'll actually extrude this bottom piece so it makes sense better. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. You can add some subtle details if you really want to. Let's just do something like that. Always better to have more details than too little. That's nice. Let's make that narrower. And then this will be the last detail we add in. There we go. Awesome. Oh, and let's give the top just like that. That's nice for the top of the building, I think. Or maybe we'll just try to make it like a pole, like a skyscraper. And then we want to make sure this is flat, so SC0. Yeah. I think that's how it's gonna be. Perhaps we can make this narrower, a little bit more narrow. And also sharpen up the edges. There we go. We're gonna leave it like that. Yeah, so let's give it the materials now. This should be metal. Same thing with this. Let's apply all the scales. This needs to be metal. Let's view it through the camera. Let's see what's going on. Something didn't go right. What is going on here? Not sure what happened. That's odd. Okay, what is going on? Oh, I must have hit it. Okay, that's weird. Did I hide it? Alright, we don't need that. That was odd. Seems like it didn't apply it either. Alright, now it's working. I don't know what that was about. But it looks like it's all working now. Yeah, so let's just change the color. So now we're going to do something different, and we're going to add in the lighting. We're going to adjust that using our music. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to add in an empty. I'm going to add in an empty object. Plain axes. Can't really see it. It's right there though. Scale it way up. Apply all the scales. But then it becomes smaller, so I'll just make it bigger. Now we need to save this so we don't lose anything. Now we're going to give this our sound effects again. And I'm going to try to remember what I did. So I believe we went to F-curve editor. Where is that? Graph editor. Then key. Let's see, how did we do this? I'm gonna try to remember what I did. Can't get the, oh, I have to add in a keyframe. That's what's going on. So let's add in our keyframe. Now we can bring in make sound to F curves. Desktop. Is it swung beat number 2? Let's go to my desktop. Yep, there's the 1. Gonna go back. Swung beat number 2. There it is. Now where is our empty? Is it animating? Yes, it is. Oh, we got a problem. It's a good thing I noticed this. Let's make a new file and call this procedural building baked, because I'm going to convert some modifiers here, because if you notice this wave is playing, and that's because we never converted that original wave modifier, and in the animation it's actually going to affect things badly. So we need to apply a lot of these modifiers now. We need to apply that. Are we in edit? Oh, we're in edit mode. Alright. Okay. X, nope. So we gotta see if there's a way to apply this. Yeah. Now we can take this and do what we want with it. So we can delete it and everything should stay in place. Everything here seems to be working. Some reason this one didn't work right, so we'll just duplicate this, RZ 180, and just kind of move that into place as best as we can get it. That should be good. Same thing with this one. This one didn't work correctly, so we'll just duplicate this one. Shift D, RZ 180. That should be good. Scale it down a little bit. That should be good. Same thing here. Now we have the empty right here. And of course is it being animated? It should be. It should be. But it's not. Let's see what's going on. Unless I selected the wrong empty, which could very well be. Where is that empty? Is it this one? I believe it's this one. Well, this one we're going to use. Let's try that again. So key, we're going to add in our keyframe, row, or just, should we just do location? And then we will add big sound F curves, song beat number 2, and we'll bring that on up. There it is. And if you look really closely, I think it should be animated. Oh, I'm not even looking at the right one. Yeah, it is. It is. It's very, very subtle. It is actually moving. It's actually working. Now, if you remember from the previous video, we can exaggerate that by using the function and set that to be at, maybe it's not function, generator. Yep, this is the one. We can just raise this value. And maybe it's the second one, is it? I don't want it just moving now. Huh. Maybe not. I need to exaggerate the movement. Additive. No, maybe not. Let's see what we got. Is this it? So I'm not sure why this isn't working. I know that this one should be amplifying it. Expanded polynomial. It shouldn't be just moving it. Oh, this has to be set. I think this has to be set to -1. Oh, and I could just disable that one. I think we have to do this a different way. Let's actually go back. Go to this object. Delete it. Add a new empty. Let's do something we could see better, like arrows. Scale it up. And we'll put in a keyframe at frame 1. And we'll do rotation this time, only rotation. For some reason I had better luck doing it this way, so we'll go to bake sound to F curves. So on beat number 2. Awesome, now it's working. And you can see it's going to the music. So we can use this and take the data from this and bring it to the building lights. So we'll change the colors with the music. And that's going to be interesting. Now let's see if we can adjust this and see how this works. Which one is it? It is generator. Yes, it is actually working now. I think it is, at least. Maybe it's not. It's hard to tell, honestly. No, it shouldn't be additive. This should be 1. maybe not a generator. Maybe a function. The problem is I don't want it just rotating slowly at the same time. I need to get the data in without changing anything, because this is just like causing random movement. I just need to amplify this movement here and come up with a way to change it. I think I can actually do this in the shader nodes themselves, so I think that's actually alright to leave. So let's actually just take in the data, and we'll just use one direction for this, which will be the x-axis. Whoops, Blender crashed on me. Sometimes that happens, that's alright. And we think we got it back, most of it at least. We can fix that. There we go. Alright, let's see what happened here. So we need to get rid of this. We don't need that, and this should be good, I think. Now if I try to copy this as a driver, for some reason it's going to crash, and I don't know why this is. It's some kind of bug. Yeah, it did it again. So I'm going to just copy the rotation data itself, and that should avoid the crashing issue. And I'll show you how you can do that. This is very, very powerful. And it's crazy. I can never find tutorials on this stuff. It's very advanced though. Maybe that's probably why. So let's go back and but it's crazy how powerful Blender really is when you discover the underlying functionality behind it. So I'm going to save this. I don't want to lose anything. Now we can just go straight into the rotation data itself in the actual, let's see. Oh, and I actually remember now how to fix that. But anyway, we got the rotation data here. We can just copy these values. So copy as new driver. No crashing issue or anything, which is good. Let's make sure my screen is good here, and it looks good. Okay, and we'll go into the node editor. And I like to position it to the bottom, would be nicer. Shader editor. And now we can go to the emission texture, which is the lighting of the building. Inside, let's see how we select that. There it is. Awesome. Got it right here. And this is where things get really, really interesting. So we can do all sorts of stuff here now. We can go really crazy with this. But let's just add in math node. And all we're going to do is just paste in the driver. Look at that. Now you got your actual data from the song being transferred to the empty, and then that empty's data is being transferred to math nodes, and you could do anything you want with this. So like if we go into Eevee just to show what's going on here, let me see. why this needs screen space refraction. Just gotta make it so it's clear. It's hard to tell. Gotta make the glass transparent. Gotta adjust this. Oh, and I'm not even selecting the right object. Oh, I think I know what's going on. We have to enable all this stuff. Fraction. There it is. Now it's working. Awesome. So, if we view this texture, where did it go? Okay, I gotta find it now. Building lights. There it is. I'm sorry about this. There it is. There it is. Alright. Okay, awesome. We got it right here. Let's just make a new shader. Okay. Oh, it's duplicated. Okay, that's what's going on. I had a feeling. Alright, we have to delete that, and that's what's going on. Shade that smooth. Turn on auto smooth. Apply the scale. Everything. Now we can paste that driver in again. So add in the math node. Paste the driver. View it. Plug it into a shader. Oh, you don't even have to. Look at that. The buildings are flickering with the music. Absolutely incredible. Now you can go more extreme with this, like multiply. Color ramp. Look at that. So this value needs to be multiplied by like 2. I'd like to normalize this. Maybe there's not an option. Let's see where this is going a lot. Let's see something. Yeah, so this needs to be on just one. You can always set up power. Might make things go crazy though. Let's just leave it on multiply though, so it never goes above 1, and we can just tweak this. If you want some more light, you can do something like this, and now it's going to be going to the music. That is really cool. Now we can add in a mix shader. And we got in our original texture here, which is like this, but now we need to have the animation from the music to come into play. So we just add this. We use this to drive the factor of mixing it with just a plain black texture. So we'll duplicate that, set this to be actually not black, but just kind of like grayish, and we'll plug these in. Plug this one in. Watch this. This is going to be awesome. Okay guys, it is working. Now the lights are actually going to be, you can't hear it now, but in the song, and there is a problem with this. Let's turn up the edge fading, or is there an overscan option because the lights are dark on the edges? I know there is somewhere. Can't find it now though. I'll find it, I think. Overscan. Let's just do. Doesn't affect the viewport though, which isn't nice. Is there another way to fix this? There should be. Let's see. Edge fading. If I bring that down, it seems to fix it for the most part. There we go. Let's choose a darker background. Something more like... maybe not like that. And we can always adjust the strength. Yeah, that looks nice. And yes, let's set the frame number to be like 1000. Set it to be 30 frames. And now let's play the music and see if everything sounds like it's synced up relatively well. 29.97 should be good. So let's go back, bring up the music. Yeah, I know, it is cool. What I'm doing actually is I'm using sounds. I have a sound file open, so I'm going to show you guys that now. I'm using sounds to drive the lighting on the building. Uh, yeah, so this is really cool what you can do with this. Um, so let's actually see how well this sound kind of matches the lights. Um, so I got this song that I made, and I'm gonna turn on my sound so I can hear it a little bit. And it might not match up perfectly because the viewport's a little laggy, but we could just see how the beginning kind of matches up. I think I'm gonna bring that over. There we go. And we kind of gotta find a way to play this immediately as soon as this one goes. So let's see if I can do this quickly enough. There we go. So yeah, it kind of is matching up. Of course, it's not perfect because I didn't time it. I didn't click on it immediately, but in the final animation, the lighting should match up perfectly, which is going to be really cool. And this is going to be the third scene in my animation I'm making. It's going to be around 2 to 3 minutes, and it's going to have 4 scenes. One is a whole city flyover video. The first one is going to be going through that tunnel, it's a sci-fi tunnel, which I also did. Oh, thank you, Noam Kit. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Yeah, thank you so much. Let me resize this window here. I think it's a little bit too small. That should be better. Yeah, so I'm trying to drive as many animations procedurally as possible. And this looks really cool. And I thought of, let's just add some, maybe, I don't know, maybe cylinders on the ground. And then they also react, the height changes depending on the music. Which will kind of look cool. Actually, I'm going to add a tree instead, I think. Let's see. So, sapling add-on. Let's see, I can't find... Oh, I have to enable it, actually. There, oh, it is enabled. So curve sapling, there it is. And kind of hard to see because the building's in front, but I can always hide these temporarily. So let's unhide that. Okay, there we go. So, add in a curve, which is the sapling tree add-on, and where is it placing our tree? I can't figure this out. That, is it in the center, maybe? Thinking it should be in the center. Oh, there it is. It's really, really tiny. Alright. That's what happened. So, we got some presets. Let's just do something like, let's see what we got. Willow. I like the willow. And we don't have to go too crazy with this, but we can get it bigger. And we need, I'm thinking maybe not adding leaves, so I might just leave it, but let's add in an armature. And I want to make this even bigger. armature, use armature. This is going to slow things down a little bit. And I think this is how I have to do it. Now I'd like to have the tree kind of also dance to the music, but honestly I'm not exactly sure how to set this up yet, so I have to do some research on this. I'm kind of just guessing at this point, so I might not be able to get this working, but we'll see. Okay, so now the tree is kind of animating. Let's do fast preview so we can just see it kind of real time. Let's turn up the wind. So we might not do this with the music, and we might just make this a looping animation. I think something like that is cool. Yeah. It's kind of nice. Now, I think I'm actually going to come back to that later though. And I think I'm going to do something else for now. Now let me actually unhide some of these objects, and yeah, let's do something else. Let's add in the cylinder. I'm going to do the cylinder idea. So we're going to have a graph, and it's going to go with the music. Now I'd actually like to use cubes. I think they work better for this. So we're just going to scale this up and give it a nice bevel modifier to make everything smoother. Apply all the transforms. Give it 3 segments. That should be good. Maybe to make it a little smoother, we can turn off clamp overlap and adjust this a little bit. And then add in a weighted normal. Then turn on auto smooth. Yeah, I could play the music. Here it is. Yeah, it's 2 minutes long, so yeah, I'll actually play it, and you can listen to it. Okay, so yeah, that was the music, and uh, yeah, I synthesized the whole thing from scratch in lmms, and I do have my first video actually covers that. So yeah, I'm gonna go over this project. This is the first file we'll be rendering, and this one I finally finished. And I covered this in the first two, and I'll actually go through this now quickly because I'm actually copying a setup because it so I can remember how I set this up because there's a lot of steps. So yeah, um, this is actually a whole audio visualizer setup. Um, let's go to our camera, and I still have to animate the camera movement, but I kind of got the concept there. And in rendered view, we're going to be using cycles to render everything. So we just kind of got to wait for everything to kind of load up. And this is a whole, everything here is animated. Like this is animated using drivers with the same setup. This, this cube thing, and it's all reacting to the music. This is using displacement, again driven by the music. And I had to set up all these keyframes. Now this, again, this is actually a plane. Oh, and that reminds me, that's actually how I set this up. I was trying to remember this, and now it came back to me. So yeah, this is a plane, and then I instanced a bunch of cubes across it, and then again, this is displacing the vertices in the plane, which the cube object is parented to, and then that's affecting the movement of the cubes. It's a little hard to explain, but hopefully that helps. Now in cycles this looks much better because I don't really use Eevee for most things because cycles does give photorealism most of the time. And it renders, it actually doesn't take long to render, and I have a very complex concrete material, all procedural. Every material is procedural. I don't like to use image textures. It saves on memory, and procedural textures can look really nice. So I just animate a nice tunnel will kind of be going, the camera will be going through, and these lights will again be animated with the drivers, which I'm going to paste in. So I still have some more work to do on this one, but it's kind of coming along. And yeah, so that's my first one, and then I'm going to actually jump over now to my second one, which is a whole city. And I just got to find it. I have a lot of files here that I got to keep track of. This one, here it is. And there's a couple hundred buildings in this one. So this is going to be scene number 2, I believe. And the camera has been animated for this. And yeah, this is a very detailed scene. So we can go like to rendered view. We can go into the camera view now. And now not only is there the buildings, but I disabled them for now because it's very demanding on the computer, but for the rendering I'll have this enabled. Let's see. It would be for the particle plane. Oh, I gotta have the roads enabled. Or no, not that one. That's the wrong one. Oh, this one. There it is. And then I have the trees, which are also there. And then this camera kind of just flies over, viewing the top. Some of the details are not extremely detailed, but you'll never notice it because it flies over. So I think it's okay. And I like the mountains in the back, and of course with compositing, at the end it makes everything look really nice. And this is okay, I think. This should work alright for the animation. And I can always adjust this later on. And you can see if you change like the color management and go to like very high contrast, it makes things look like just a lot better just by doing that. But I do most of that in compositing anyway. So yeah, oh, and let's show the camera animation quickly. Let's disable the particles so that everything's quick. And I'll just go back to solid mode just so I could show the animation. This is 1500 frames, this one. Something's slowing it down. Is it the... Usually this goes a lot faster. That was it. It was the particle plane was enabled. So I'll just show the animation and let's make sure this is 30 frames a second. Because if I make a mistake on this, actually, yeah, you have to redo the rendering. But when I eventually go to render this. Yeah, this is going to take a long time to render. But here's the animation. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you checked this video out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Yeah. And this video will all be recorded, so you can always watch it at a later time. All my videos are archived, which is really nice. Yeah, so that's the camera animation. Yeah, so I'm going to go back to everything else. So let's add in a plane. And I am going to subdivide this. Simple. Just like that. And let's see what I want to do with this. I want to apply all the transforms here because the bevel is a little distorted. That looks better. Control P. Now I need this to instance. And gotta find where that setting is located. I mean, I can always check in the old file. Oh, you're back? Awesome. Okay. Yeah, and if you have any questions or you want to know how I do something, yeah, definitely ask at any time. I'll definitely answer you. So let's see, this has to be... Oh, the subdivide has to be applied, that's what's going on. Alright, so edit mode, subdivide, let's do it like 5 times. And we're gonna go way more than that. Now if I do Control P, it's not instancing it for some reason. And I'm pretty sure I'm doing this the wrong way. Oh, there it is. Vertices. Now I'm going to try it again. There it is. Now it's working. And now I don't want the instancer to show. Just the object itself. So now you can apply, imagine this, you're applying displacement to the plane, and then that displaces your cubes. So that's kind of how that works. But I need to definitely either scale this up, maybe something like that, and then I can just add a general displacement in. Or we could just take this and then subdivide it a lot. So let's find where the plane is. Kind of going back and forth a lot because I'm just seeing how I set this up. And I know the option is here somewhere. I have to select the plane somehow. Okay, I think I might have got it. Plane 001. That's the name. So I'll just rename that instancer plane so I know which one to look for. And I could just apply a subdivide to this, and it should increase the amount of geometry. And yes, it does, but you notice it looks more circular, so that could be fixed very easily by going back to instancer plane, setting it to simple, and you could go really crazy with this. Okay, and I should... Oh, I'm scaling the wrong object. I gotta scale the cube itself. There it is. There it goes. That looks great. And now I'm thinking about adding this on the floor. So we'll kind of have this covering the whole city. This is going to look pretty cool, I think. And we'll scale up the instancer plane along with that and set the origin to be correct. now we can apply oh, that actually, we don't want to do that. And now we only want to apply the displacement to the instancer plane, because if we apply it to the cube, it'll just move the whole thing. So all modifiers need to go on to the instancer plane. So let's do something like, you could do something like the wave modifier, just to see what we're kind of doing here. And you can do something such as just one direction. Let's do the X direction. And already we got something interesting. You can change the fall off. And I'm not liking the cubes. They need to be a little bit longer. So scale in the Z axis. We'll move that down. Go back to instancer plane, and instead of using the what's it called, the instancer, instead of using the wave, we're gonna use the, let's see, I gotta make sure this is level. That should be better. We're gonna use displacement. Displacement, new, and we're just gonna use some kind of texture like, let's say, distorted noise. Already got something interesting. Let's turn up the size. Make it larger. Now you could change the amount. That it displaces. There we go. And now we can use an empty object to drive the position of the noise texture. I'm sorry, of the displacement. So coordinates, object, empty, and then if we move this, things change. So we'll go to like frame, I think this animation's gonna be, let's see, I'm gonna do some quick math. 500 divided by 30, it's gonna be 16 seconds. So I'm gonna add a keyframe here and go to frame 500. Move this up, something like here. And let's just see how that looks. And I think that's a pretty good speed, but it's too much. The strength is too high. That's a little bit better. Now we want it to be driven by the music also, so that's actually not too difficult to set up. So we could just also paste in our driver which also has got our sound component in there. Let's see, I'm not really liking how the whole thing is moving at once. I think I have to make this empty move a little bit slower. And the interpolation is wrong, so this has to be set to be linear. And make this slower. Maybe a little bit faster, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I think that looks pretty good, but I think the noise texture needs to take up some of these blocks because there's too many that are flat. That's pretty good right there. And this isn't the best texture, actually. It needs to be more randomness in it, I guess you could say. Yeah, that's a lot better. And this way you can also speed up the empty. Okay, that's not too bad. Now, let's also make sure that the mid-level is set to 1. That smooths things out, I think. Yeah. So now it's not jumping so much. And it really is actually animating pretty well to our music. Maybe the texture could be changed just to be a little bit. Let's add just in a color ramp to sharpen these colors up a little bit. That's good, I think. So it ends at 500. Now, this is cool. I want it to be a little more subtle. So we can always edit that and go back into the instance or plane and then just open up the drivers editor. And then you can always bring down this. I gotta find this option here, modifiers. And I believe it will be called built-in function. No, actually generator. And then you can adjust the strength. You can go really crazy with it here if you wanted to. Now it's going crazy, but I think something like very subtle is going to work out really nicely. Something like 0.3. I just don't want this one to be super extreme like the last one, because I want to bring some focus to the city too. Yeah, so it's not only is it animating with the empty, also the music's adjusting it too. And you can always add in more cubes if you really wanted to, so you could do something like you can select the instancer plane, you can bring up the subdivision level to something insanely high, like 5. Maybe that's too high. Let's do 4. And then of course you have to select the cube again and scale it way down. And now I actually like that a lot. That looks pretty cool. You're almost seeing the texture forming on the surface. That actually looks really, really cool. You can make them kind of more narrow if you want. And then you can also, not only can you do this, so you kind of have like all sorts of things going on. And you can have this like, give this like a cool metallic material and have, you can have random colors going throughout these objects, have colors driven by the music. So I'm going to be setting that up too. Probably we'll get to that part tomorrow. But I'm going to add some more displacement on here. So instancer plane, let's add in, you can add in a build modifier, and I'm not sure what exactly this would do, but I think it's going to do something that looks pretty cool. Maybe it will. Yeah. That certainly looks interesting. So I think it's building, it's adding buildings based on the music. It's adding cubes based on the music, if I'm correct about this. Now, let's see what we can do here with this. What does reverse do? That's interesting. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. We got a lot of other stuff we could do. We can do something like wireframe, and that's going to slow things down though. That just kind of adds a wireframe to things. Not really sure what that one would be useful for. Now, one thing that would be cool is you can array this in any way you want. So you can make this like into a field if you wanted to. You could just keep going with it. And then you could just add in another array if you want. And you can do something like 4 in the other way. I'm sorry, 1. And you can kind of make like tiles of it. And it can just go on and on and on. You do get a little bit of a seam here. I'm not sure yet how you would fix this. Probably adding some noise on top of this array would break that up a little bit. But I'll have to do some research on that and see how that could be the best way of doing that. So let's go to the camera. And whoop. Okay, there we go. Let's just see what we got here in cycles. Okay, everything looks pretty nice. Yeah. So let's actually turn off that arraying again. On the instancer plane, we could turn that off. Leave that at like 1. And let's apply another, where is it? It should be here. It is displace. Displace. And now let's add some chaotic movement to the outside of them. So now I want to make this very, 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 very subtle, but this is kind of just going to increase, make things look more interesting. So I'm going to add in the driver, and we gotta undo that actually. Add in the displace. And then paste the driver, and now it's kind of a little bit too crazy. Now we can open up the drivers editor. Let's just bring down that strength way down. Generator. Select everything, generator, and then pull that down to like 0.1. So now we got some side movement of everything too. And I think that looks really cool. Okay, we're gonna try something else now. Now let's give these a metal material. And that would be this one. So we can go to Eevee and preview that. And that would be the cube. I keep getting this mixed up here. That would be the cube, not the instancer plane. So that would be the metal. It's going to slow down a little bit in the viewport, but that's okay. And we could just separate this, make it a new material, because we're going to do some stuff to it. So let's go into shader editor. And this is a pretty complex procedural material, but let's just disconnect the bump for now to speed things up. So we can kind of preview this real time. And we're going to affect the colors based on the music. So everything's being driven by the music, basically. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in color ramp, and then add in a math node. And again, always apply our drivers. Multiply it by 1, just like that, and we can just keep that between black and white for now. So we will multiply this on top of that by mix RGB. Flip this one like that, and that should be good. And so now we have the animation, and it certainly looks pretty cool, but the whole thing is flickering at once. Now I want to kind of have random objects changing colors at different times. So the question is, how can we do this? So I'm going to try something. I'm not really sure exactly how to set this up, but I think I got a pretty decent idea. So, object info. This may or may not work. Object info. And this one should actually be multiplied by this value. And Voronoi texture. Random should work. So I gotta think about this a second, how I would set this up. I got it, actually. We're gonna multiply it by this value instead. Now, seems like it's working better now. Okay, so that's a little bit better. Let's kind of change the colors. Now it's doing what I want it to do. And we can like make this like red or something. I think that looks cool. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Let's bring up the brightness of the world to like 0.5 for now. And let's see, we got yellow. We want to multiply this by the color completely. Actually, I'm gonna think about how to do this because I want to have the color adjust this, but at the same time I don't want to make it look like the color's gone, basically. Now the texture does disappear, unfortunately. Maybe this can't be full black. It has to be like silver is nice, actually, I think. That looks better. Let's make that sort of darker gray. And you notice it's the same ones lighting each time that are going red. I kind of like to change that. And I'm going to try to figure that out now. I should be able to figure it out. I got it. Awesome. So we're going to add in a procedural texture. I think this will work if I'm correct. Maybe just a mapping node will do it. And So there's no way to move the randomness output, which is a shame, but I may do it this way instead. And can we actually project this across the world? This is very advanced stuff that I may have to figure out at a later time. So window projection might work. And we can do it like this. Okay. Let's bring up the scale. And then add in a multiply. I could be doing this wrong. Not really sure if this is the correct way to do it. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work out because I would like to do it to the individual objects themselves. Yeah, I might have to come back to that at a later time. Let's set up something interesting now in the meantime. So I'm going to delete all that extra stuff that we don't need. Just set this back to random. And I feel like it's not smooth enough, so we can just pull these values farther apart. You can always change this color to be blue. But I like the red. I think it looks cool. I'm gonna save this again. Okay, so now we need to get some lights. Just some lighting on the floor. Let's add in a mix shader. This is going to be a simple setup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let's take some of these red cubes and let's make only a few of them emit some light. So we will actually wind up duplicating the shader, putting this here, and we will also take this value from here, put that into another color ramp, and we'll try to only grab a few of them, and the brighter ones you have to remember are red, so we're going to just get like very few, and we'll make these emit the light Don't want to go too over the top with this. So something like that should be good. And we'll use that to mix between these two, and this one will be the same texture except that it's going to be also emitting some red light. So we're going to set that up. Let's give it red. Let's give it an emission strength of 10, and let's see what we get. Maybe that can go up a little bit higher. Oh yeah, there it goes. Whoa, that's a little bit not getting enough. Okay. Let's see, I would like it to go at more. More frames. But I can always just do it like this and then make this part go so that the high notes also don't get it. This way the midtones are getting the colors, but once you go out of the range, it just doesn't work anymore. And I don't want this to become too crazy. Maybe just an emission strength of like 5 is good. Maybe a little bit less strong of a color. Okay, that certainly looks interesting. Let's actually delete that one. All right, I am pretty happy with this. Let's bring up the strength a little more. 10. And you can make even more randomness with this. All you have to do, another mix shader. Let's save this so we don't lose anything. Then you could say mix shader. There it goes. And you could say that if you want there it goes. So we got this value set to 0.5, then it starts to go. So we can make another one. And make it so values over 1. And then map that top one to 2. Just so these go here. And then you can also make the very brightest of notes become blue. Let's try this out. Okay, but we should also be getting this one. So now we're starting to get some of them turning more of a bluish color as the notes get more intense. I like this a lot. So the more intense notes are getting that blue. Let's bring that up. I don't want so much of it. And I think that looks pretty nice. Now I'd like to think about displaying this on the wall. I could Shift D. Let's undo that though. RZ. Move it on the Z axis. Okay, what is going on with this? For some reason the rotation's not working right. Oh, we gotta rotate that too. I see. Alright, so we're gonna do something different. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Actually, let's undo that. Select this middle one here. Delete that one, and then we can array this. Set this to 0. Set this one to be 1. I'm sorry, -1. Bring that there, and we're gonna do something really cool. We're gonna make this into a tunnel. Let's do something like so we need to get this to curve. We're gonna add in a curve modifier. I think this is gonna work. I'm not sure, honestly. Circle. If not, I can always come back to this tomorrow, but we'll try it out. So we're going to try to get everything to rotate around this. Okay, and it's not doing what we need it to do. So we're going to try this again. Add it before the array. A little bit better. Y-axis, nope. Oh, this isn't even the... Why am I doing this object? I'm not even doing the correct one. Instancer plane is the one. Okay, I messed that up. Array. There we go. Now it's doing what I need. And we can just set that to be 2. This could be 0. This could be something like that. It should be fine. I don't really notice the tiling too bad. And then we'll add in the curve modifier. Curve object. This one. And then it disappears. Not sure why. Maybe it's because it's the wrong Okay, so it's doing something crazy. This may not work as I want it to. I mean, I know there's a way to do this, but it's a little bit better. The nice thing is this is always procedural, so you can always undo everything and it's all non-destructive. So you're not damaging anything by doing all this. Okay, what is going on with this? I want this to loop around the city, and then we have the tunnel kind of going with blinking lights to the music everywhere, but can't seem to figure this out. I know I can figure it out off stream. I might try it again. So yeah, I want that to loop around the city in a circle, and then it goes on and on. Maybe if I do it before the array. Should be after the array, I think. Let's see what happens if we just array this more times. See if it's really doing what we need it to do. Let's array it. Let's do 12. It is working. Alright, I think. It's really slow though. Let's turn off the bevel modifier. That's slowing things down. The bevels. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna do this for now. I'll figure it out later. Okay, that should be better. Yeah, I think I turned my microphone off by accident. It should be better now. Okay, so I'm basically turning this into a tunnel. So this should be, these should be shorter, I think. And yeah, it is cool. And especially how it reacts with the light. I'm thinking I might strengthen the displacement because I'm doing this a different way now. I'm going to have one on the ground and one in the tunnel. And that should look pretty cool. Let's see if we can close up this tunnel though. And it merges a little bit at the end, but you'll never notice it, which is good, which is fine. I'd like the cubes to be wider. Yeah, it'll never be. You won't really notice this issue here. Let's see what we gotta do with this. So we gotta make the curve resolution a little bit better. Again, you probably won't really notice it, but it definitely makes things a little bit smoother. Cubes have to be a little wider, I think. And again, I would have liked if all the cubes are pointing inwards, because if you notice carefully, if you notice when I where is the cube? I gotta find the cube. Is this it? Nope. Yeah, I don't know where my cube went to. It ran away from me, so I gotta find it. Let's see. I got a bunch of them. I gotta start naming my objects to keep everything nice and organized, especially when I get a lot of stuff in the scene. Yeah. So I'm going through here, gonna try to find it. That's my building. Is this it? This might be it. Nope. It's probably one of these cubes. Nope. Let's see if I select everything. Maybe it's hidden? I could just go to the modifier and see which cube it is. That's odd. I got it. It was duplicated. I'm not sure how that happened. Okay. This one we can hide so we don't get confused later. Okay, that actually didn't work. Was working before. Let's see, if I select a bunch of these objects in the middle, it should start working, I'm assuming. So it's one of these objects, and I'll just start deselecting them. Okay, I'm assuming it's one of these. Oh, it's this one. Okay. That's the cube. There it is. Alright. So to prevent this from happening again, let's just rename this so that we don't lose this cube again. This is cube 038. Instancer cube. And we'll scale that like that, and that fixes the problem. So that everything's kind of, everything is next to each other. And what you notice is that I'm not liking is the cubes are not pointing in towards the center, and I would have liked that. And I'm not actually sure how to set this up. I would like to be able to set it up because these will all just move down, and even on the walls they won't point inward, so I'll have to figure that out at a later time. I gotta go. Alright, yeah, I'll see you soon. If I might still be, I'll probably be still streaming around for another 30 to 40 minutes or so. And this will all be saved again. So let's array this. And you won't notice that this is a copy. So now we are really getting crazy with the details, but it does look cool. And it starts to look a little bit like repetition. We can always apply a noise texture on top of the array to break things up even further if you really want to. Doesn't have to be done, but if you want to do that, you definitely could go ahead and do that. So let's actually rotate this on the 180 degrees. Let's move it back this way, and I actually kind of like the rotation now. It was bothering me in the beginning, but I think that it actually looks pretty cool. And let's see, we need to change the camera viewing distance. It's 50,000. Let's just see what we got here. This looks incredible. And you see the issue there is a little bit visible. And unfortunately, I can't really get rid of that as far as I know. It can just be rotated to kind of hide it, so we'll kind of go ahead and do that. You can do all sorts of crazy shapes with this, like unwrap, like make it bigger, which is cool, but I'm gonna leave it for now. Now I'd like to rotate this whole plane here. Kind of is difficult figuring this all out, because it's not always intuitive how it works. So that's gotta be something I figure out later. What I could do is actually rotate this along the whole mesh. So RZ, is this right? RZ 180, and then move it back something like this, I think. Yeah, and if we view through the camera, now it kind of looks pretty cool. And we'll have the camera kind of going through all the angles, kind of looking around. And there'll be a sky of a background. And this will be rendered in cycles. So like, let's go to a nice frame where it kind of looks interesting. And it's nice that it really animates to the music. And I'm going to be adding more buildings in at a later time. Yeah, so the lighting looks pretty good. And maybe I'll make the outdoors to be a little bit brighter. So the sun's kind of hitting the sides, which kind of brings some interesting contrast. Kind of just brings out the details a little bit better, I think. And this can always be changed to a very high contrast if you want, but I'm going to leave it on none for now. And if you feel, I feel like if you feel like the cubes are too thick, or there's too many of them, that can always be changed very easily by going back into the modifier and then changing the array, and it's the instancer plane, and then you can go down to one level, and then you can actually leave it like that if you want, and you can sort of see the sky through it, but it kind of looks odd, so I would just scale up the cube again. And I remember I named the cube. So there it is. And you always want to do this, think in this way, maybe. S, yeah, there. Okay, and I also got to scale it on the other way. But as you can see, it affects the placement, so that should be alright though, because what I can always do is just bring back the distance of the array, and that gets fixed, just like that. I think it looks better with less of them. There was too many before and it was kind of cluttering everything up. And honestly, I think even one more subdivision drop would be better. So I can bring that all the way to 0. And then again, the instance or cube, scale it way up. In edit mode though. And we'll go back and then bring down the array width. Now it's less dense, and that may better suit this. I think that looks better, honestly. And now let's just view the animation in Eevee. Turn down the brightness a little bit. I think that looks pretty nice. And yeah, I'm gonna have one on the floor too. And before I forget, let's actually add that back in now. So I'm gonna duplicate everything here. I have to select both of these. And for this one, I am going to make sure that we don't have this set to curve. So now we just have the flat floor again, and we will also disable the array. And this can come back. This can also be scaled down. Apply all, or no, you don't want to apply the modifiers. Alright, and I'm gonna find the cube one for this now. There it is. Oh, and I wanted to get rid of the array. There it goes. And let's just scale that up in this direction, so it's roughly a cube again. And again, we will subdivide this plane again. Subdivide this. And I can't remember what level, I think it was 4. And we will also select the cube again. And yeah. Let's bring that down. So it's kind of at the floor level here. And let's see, the view angle. Let's bring this down because there's a lot of artifacts. That's a little bit better on the walls. It won't show up in the rendering, but it's kind of showing up in the viewport. Z fighting artifacts it's called. Not sure why it's happening so much here, but Nothing I can do about it, but it won't show up in the rendering, I don't believe. So I'm not too concerned about it. Okay, so this is what we got. You can kind of position this in a different way if you want to. And we're going to be animating this camera at a later time. Let's zoom that in. Of course, everything's going to look a lot nicer when it's done in cycles. And especially with all the lens glare stuff I had. And here's the thing, not only is the textures themselves going to be animated, but I can also animate all of these properties in the compositing nodes. So for example, let's go to let's render out one of these frames, let's say this one, where it's kind of bright. So we could say render out this, and let's actually save this. So I'll go to make sure we're in cycles, and I'll render this image out. And it looks too bright. Gotta adjust something. It's probably the outdoors. Yeah, it is. Too much world lighting. World. This has to be adjusted really, really quick. So, sun elevation, let's bring it down. Or maybe I'll bring it up. I think it looks better when it's up. Like, let's say 65, because then the sun's not shining directly through the tunnel. I think that actually looks great. Yeah, and I'm definitely going to have to adjust the strength on the windows. It's not strong enough, the lights. I'll do that at a later time, probably off stream, because it's just playing around with a bunch of settings, changing things. It can probably get boring, so I probably will do that part off the off stream. But let's render this image out. Something's going on. For some reason, it is... Oh, it's showing too many of these objects, so I gotta hide. Or actually, I gotta enable them. Or not these. Okay, let's render that out. Yeah, so the texture is appearing distorted when I render it out, which is really strange. Not sure at all what's causing this. It's only in the render, but not in the 3D view. So I'm going to probably have to figure this out after the stream. And I'm sure I'll be able to get this figured out. But let's just see the compositing anyway. So composition, and then we got all these nodes here, and this is just really over the top. The effects are just way too strong. So things have to be adjusted a lot, because I designed this for a night scene, but in a daytime scene, you see it just won't work. It's not going to work at all. So this has to be brought way down to like 1 by 1, for example. And let's just disable denoising to speed things up. And some of these blur settings, we could just have to turn down the add amounts to most of these. Let's put this to 0.2, 0.2, let's say 0.4. I'm not even sure which ones these are, but just trying to remember from last time. And this looks a little bit better. Still a little bit too strong. Let's turn down the sunbeams effect a little bit. Now, where is that one? The sunbeams one should be here somewhere. Sunbeams. Let's put this to 1. Even lower, maybe 0.5. This one can be 0.5 though. Now, the power in these modifiers with this scene, let's bring these all the way down to 0.1. This one 0.3. It's too strong. That's better. That's more what I'm going for. So, what we can do is we can actually, this factor value that we're adjusting right now, so you see if we turn this up, the effect becomes much stronger, like the fog or whatever. And this one, the sunbeams effect becomes a lot stronger. So if you really want to get crazy, you can add in like a math node, and you can actually set in your driver, and you can set that to be multiplied by 1, and then you can bring that into here, and then that will actually, that value will be animating. So like if you, as your video plays along, and it will be changing the compositor settings as you render out the frames of your animation. And this will make the light like the rays of light from your animation. You can set this up to actually make, like, when the beat gets louder, you can have like the rays become more intense, and you can have it like do all sorts of stuff like that. So these nodes are not, these drivers are not only limited to the 3D view and modifiers. They can literally control everything, or most things as far as I know. Yeah, it's really impressive what you can do with this. You could have it like, you could have like depth of field, like I know in one of my older cities that I drove, I have depth of field. I could just add that in quickly. It's fake, but it works. So, Gaussian blur. And I don't know, let's add it to the very end. Set this to like 20. And set this size. We'll just leave the size. And set this to be here. Set this to be up here. And we'll have another color ramp in. I'll have another color ramp in so that the image is actually driving. Is it the image? Yeah, the image. Or no, not the image. The Z-pass. The... Where is it? I'm gonna find... Depth pass. That's what it's called. Here it is. So I gotta change that one. And now I want to add in a normalize. I'm sorry, my dog is barking. And this is basically getting the depth values of your scene, like how far in 3D you are. Just gonna close my door. It's a little better. So yeah, this is getting the depth, the distance values in your 3D scene, and we are going to add some depth of field to this based on this distance, and then we can adjust the we can also add the what's it called? We can add the music and make it affect the blur on top of this, like multiply this effect by the driver for the music. It's a little bit hard to understand, to explain, but kind of walk you guys along quickly, and maybe hope it becomes a little bit clearer. So we want this to become brighter. Same thing over here. Then this in the center can become darker. And wherever it's darker, we can tell Blender, we can basically tell it to make the size smaller. So now let's see, that didn't work right. Let's see what's going on. Variable size. Yeah, and there it goes. So we can bring that in so it's closer up. Kind of clear this part up. Let's bring it in a little bit more. Let's see what we're doing here. Let's actually make this part dark so that just the far part of our scene is blurred. Yeah, that's how you do it. And so you kind of got a depth of field effect without even having to render real depth of field. And now not only do you have to do that, you can also take in like you can also take in a math node, and then just like that you can add in your driver, and now that'll kind of add in the blur, so that the blur is also acting only the far objects are getting the blur, and this value here will also add additional blur that gets more intense as the music gets louder, and it'll react to each beat. And you can, of course, go in the drivers editor. You can strengthen this up. By selecting everything and using in the generator, bringing this up, it just kind of exaggerates the effect, and you can see these values will jump around a lot more. But I'm going to go back and just set that to default, and you can't really see the result until it's rendered, unfortunately, because the compositor is not real time. But This kind of just gives you an idea of what kind of power, how powerful these drivers really are. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end the stream actually. And I will have a lot more videos on this in the coming days, and gonna be adding a lot more stuff to this. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. I know that it was a long stream, but I hope it helped you guys, helped you with Blender. And yeah, thank you for watching, subscribe, and at the end, when this is all done, all these files will be on my Patreon account, which is in the link, and you can use any of these assets in your own projects, or you can feel free to expand on this work that I did in the files if you download them on my Patreon. So yeah, that's that would be helpful to you guys. So yeah, thank you guys for watching.